They spent $250 million bucks making that movie. But imagine you spend $250 million and you get some young girl and you don't kind of talk to her about like, hey, don't get political. You're young. And I know you have opinions about things, but should be just about the movie.
Well,
Let's just
to defend Big Head Girl, let me tell you something. The message of the movie is to be that bitch.
Before we dive into one of the most bizarre and chilling mysteries to ever hit Hollywood, make sure to subscribe if you love deep dives into unsolved cases, hidden truths, and shocking celebrity mysteries. Trust me, this one is going to leave you speechless.
That's the message that they wrote a script that's telling girls, I don't need nobody tells me I'm a 20-year-old girl, so obviously I should run my mouth all the time. That's the theme of the new Snow White.
No, really?
Yes.
It was supposed to be a fairy tale, a breakout role, the Disney dream. Instead, Rachel Zegler's turn as Snow White has spiraled into one of the most vicious public takedowns in recent memory. And now, even Joe Rogan is getting in on the action. On a recent episode of The Joe Rogan Experience, the podcast king didn't hold back, blasting Disney's failed Snow White remake and zeroing in on the young actress who became the lightning rod for the film's spectacular collapse. But here's where it gets messy. As the internet roared with approval, Rogan also made a point that the industry needs to hear. This isn't just a Rachel Zegler problem, this is a Hollywood problem. You can't blame the girl for a broken machine. Rogan's take goes deeper mid-rant. Rogan, sipping his whiskey and rolling his eyes in disbelief, called out the absurdity of laying all the blame at Zegler's feet. You're gonna tell me the entire failure of this $300 million movie is because some 22-year-old said something dumb about the prince? Come on, man. That's not on her. That's on the people who wrote that garbage. And let's be honest, he's not wrong. Yes, Zegler's interviews were tone-deaf. Yes, her attitude toward the original Snow White felt dismissive. But she didn't greenlight the script. She didn't approve the direction. She didn't decide to swap the dwarfs for mystical woodland vibes, or nix the entire romance plot in favor of independence messaging. She was following orders from Disney, and Rogan hammered that point like a drum, reminding everyone that this movie had a full boardroom of writers, directors, producers, PR strategists, and marketing teams behind it. Zegler was the face. But the failure? That's on the system. Still, the internet wanted blood, and they got it, of course. Nuance doesn't trend on Twitter. The moment clips of Zegler went viral, mocking the prince, dragging the original film, and acting like she was fixing Snow White, the internet came for her hard. Comment sections turned brutal, memes exploded, commentators across YouTube and TikTok declared her the worst Disney princess in history, and when the movie flopped at the box office, the narrative was written in stone. Rachel Zegler ruined Snow White. Not Disney, not the screenwriters, not the marketing. Her. It's a perfect storm of media accountability gone wrong. And Zegler, for all her missteps, is the one getting buried under the avalanche. Tears, silence, and a disappearing act according to industry insiders. Zegler hasn't taken it well. Reports say she broke down when she saw herself trending for the wrong reasons yet again. This time with Joe Rogan's massive audience dragging her name back into the spotlight. She's gone dark on social media, pulling back from public appearances, and according to sources, emotionally exhausted from months of non-stop scrutiny. And who could blame her? She was catapulted into fame by West Side Story, handed a legacy-defining role, and then thrown into a studio system that didn't protect her, only used her as a spokesperson for a creative vision she likely didn't fully control. When that vision failed, Disney didn't speak up for her. They just started erasing her. Now she's out, quiet, alone, and the wolves are still howling. Joe's bigger message: Hollywood's hypocrisy on talent and image. But here's the twist in Rogan's rant that makes it sting deeper. He didn't stop at Zegler. He dragged the entire system that uses young talent as disposable tools for culture war marketing. Hollywood's built this thing, where they want these kids to go on press tours and say the right things, but half the time those things don't even come from them. It's branding, it's scripts, and when it bombs, who gets blamed? Not the producers, not the directors, the kid, every time. This isn't the first time we've seen this cycle, and it won't be the last. Celebrities, especially young women, get pushed into impossible roles. They're told to be bold, political, empowered, and then punished when the public doesn't like the version of empowerment they were told to sell. It's a trap disguised as opportunity, and Zegler walked straight into it. Celebrity accountability versus corporate cowardice. Let's be clear, Zegler is not blameless. She was arrogant in interviews, dismissive of the source material. She spoke like someone who thought she was above the role she was hired to play. But what's worse, a 22-year-old actress getting too comfortable with a mic, or a billion-dollar studio feeding her those lines and then ghosting her when it blew up. This whole scandal exposes an ugly truth about Hollywood. They want woke until it breaks. They want diversity until it costs money. They want bold voices, until those voices tank the stock price. Then suddenly they're nowhere to be found. Public figures and the burnout of representation. In today's culture, we demand too much from entertainers. We want them to be activists, spokespeople, philosophers, and role models, all while smiling through junkets and dodging cancel culture landmines. But who's training them for that? Who's preparing young stars like Zegler to carry the weight of legacy IPs, social movements, and internet politics all at once? Spoiler: no one. So they fumble, they say the wrong things, they get caught in contradictions, and when they do, we don't forgive them, we devour them, because the court of public opinion doesn't have appeal. It just has hashtags. Where does Zegler go from here? That's the million-dollar question. Can she recover? Possibly. Hollywood loves a redemption arc, but she'll need to go quiet, recalibrate, and most of all humble herself. No more hot takes about Snow White needing to own a business. No more press tour shade throwing. If she wants back in, she needs to show people that she understands why they were upset, and that she's ready to play the part, not rewrite it. Because if there's one thing this entire meltdown proves, it's this: audiences don't want to be talked down to. They don't want political lectures dressed as fairy tales. They want sincerity. They want joy. They want to believe in magic again. And if you can't give them that, they will find someone who can. The fairy tale is dead, and everyone knows who killed it. Forget poisoned apples. The real death of Disney's Snow White was self-inflicted, and now the industry can't stop pointing fingers. Joe Rogan lit the match. But the gasoline? Oh, that was already spilled all over the Disney lot by a studio so addicted to its own delusion that it wrote a feminist thesis instead of a script. And Rachel Zegler, the face of that delusion, the lightning rod, the "I don't need a man or dwarfs," or an actual plot version of Snow White, that audiences rejected like expired milk in the middle of July. The studio thought it was clever, subversive, empowering. But guess what? Nobody asked for this. And Joe Rogan, he said what most people were already screaming into their popcorn buckets. Who wants to see a movie where Snow White's just annoyed and bitter for 2 hours? Exactly, Joe. Exactly. Hollywood's newest genre, studio-sanctioned self-sabotage. Let's just be brutally honest for a second. Disney is addicted to blowing itself up. This wasn't just a flop. It was an intentional kamikaze mission on the very thing that made Disney Disney. The songs? Removed. The romance? Scrapped. The dwarfs? Cancelled. The magic? Smothered in BuzzFeed-level empowerment mantras. The Snow White remake didn't just disappoint. It attacked the audience for loving the original. It wagged its finger. It rolled its eyes. And then it turned around and asked for $17.99 a ticket. And when people didn't show up, suddenly it was all Rachel Zegler's fault. Give me a break. The Rogan effect. When the king of unfiltered speaks, people listen now. Normally, Hollywood brushes off criticism from controversial figures like Rogan, but this time it hit too close to home. Because when even Joe Rogan, someone who doesn't even specialize in pop culture commentary, steps in and reads your whole marketing strategy like a roast battle, that's how you know it's over. She's not the problem, she's just the face. The real problem is the people who think that's what audiences want. Boom, mic drop, and he's right. Zegler wasn't improvising these disastrous talking points. Someone told her to go on camera and deconstruct the prince, call the story weird, and act like she was saving the character from irrelevance. She didn't create the message, she was used to deliver it, and now she's paying the price, alone. Silent studio, sobbing star. Let's talk about that silence. Where's Disney now? Where's the PR team that coached Zegler on what to say? Where are the producers who sat through every press junket and nodded while she redefined the character? Gone. They've ghosted her harder than Hollywood ghosted hand-drawn animation. Meanwhile, Zegler is reportedly breaking down, emotionally overwhelmed, retreating from public view, friends are leaking to tabloids that she feels betrayed and abandoned. And while it's easy to dunk on her, she did make a mess of things. It's also worth asking who made her the scapegoat. Because let's not forget, Disney made the movie. Disney wrote the dialogue. Disney spent $300 million convincing us this would be the next great reinvention of a legend. They failed. But it's Zegler who's crying on a couch somewhere, watching Family Guy call her character a social media intern in a tiara. Meanwhile, the fans are in full rebellion. And the fans? Oh, they're having the time of their lives. They're watching the empire crumble and eating it up like it's a limited edition churro at Disneyland. Memes, reaction videos, satirical TikToks reenacting Zegler's interviews with lines like, "This isn't your grandma's fairy tale. This is your LinkedIn fairy tale." Audiences aren't just upset, they feel betrayed, like a childhood friend turned up years later wearing a fake nose and asking for money. And you know what? They're done. Done forgiving. Done supporting. Done pretending that modernized means stripped of joy and whimsy. Even industry vets are saying it. Stop destroying the blueprint. The backlash isn't just from fans. Veteran screenwriters and directors are speaking up too. One former Disney animator tweeted, "We spent decades crafting wonder. These new execs are crafting lectures." Another producer reportedly called the new wave of remakes artless TED Talks with CGI dragons. And can you blame them? The studio that once gave us Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, and Aladdin is now pumping out content that feels like it was brainstormed during a DEI seminar instead of a writer's room. The empowerment trap. Hollywood's favorite excuse. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Hollywood keeps confusing empowerment with disdain. Every classic female character gets rewritten like she's on a revenge tour. Every prince becomes a creepy footnote. Every fairy tale becomes a passive-aggressive lecture on gender politics. And sure, some of that critique is valid, in moderation, but the Snow White remake didn't reimagine a classic, it resented it, and it showed. And that's why Zegler, fair or not, became a symbol, a vessel for the audience's frustration, not just with one film, but with a decade of remakes that treat nostalgia like a disease. The Tangled disaster looms, and just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Tangled is up next. Rumors say Disney has already spent $500 million prepping the live-action version. Casting leaks suggest it's headed in the exact same wokeified direction. You'd think they'd learn, but apparently the studio's strategy is, let's ruin another fan favorite and hope this time they thank us for it. The backlash hasn't even started yet, and Tangled already has a target on its back. Because if they mess up Rapunzel the way they messed up Snow White, there will be blood. Where does Zegler go from here? The sad truth? She might not go anywhere. Hollywood has the memory of a goldfish, and the vindictiveness of a jilted prom queen. Right now, Zegler is damaged goods. Studios won't touch her. Brands won't partner with her. She's become radioactive, and not because she's a terrible actress, but because she's become a cautionary tale. The girl who tried to rewrite the fairy tale, and got written out of the industry instead. Unless she pulls a stunning reinvention, apologizes and embraces the classics she once mocked, this may be her final act. Final word. Joe Rogan didn't humiliate. Hollywood did. Let's be clear. Joe Rogan wasn't the villain. He was the echo of what millions already felt. Zegler didn't destroy Snow White. Disney did. The writers did. The executives who think movies are checklists did. But she made herself the face of it. And now she's paying the price. So here we are, a once beloved story gutted, a young actress in freefall, a studio empire burning down, while memes roast marshmallows over the flames, all because someone forgot what made fairy tales timeless in the first place. Heart, magic, and yes, a little bit of happily ever after. Let us know in the comments, was Zegler scapegoated or did she dig her own grave? Should Disney have protected her, or cut her loose earlier? And do you agree with Rogan's take on how Hollywood exploits young talent? Hit that subscribe button for more raw takes, celebrity meltdowns, and behind-the-scenes truth bombs, because this story is far from over.